Do you stream on a Roku, Fire Stick, Android TV, or Apple TV? Now you can watch 6ABC 24/7 with the 6ABC Philadelphia streaming app.
It's a big story, and that can use.
Search 6ABC Philadelphia and start streaming today.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another week of Women to Watch. I'm Sue Rocco, and it's always great to be here. Joining me in just a few moments will be Tracey Sameyah. And Tracey is not only the CEO of Lancer Skincare, based in California. She is also going to be one of our brand new Watch Team members and joining us weekly on the show. And I'm so honored and excited to have her. She'll be leading a leadership watch segment and bringing all of her experience and advice and life stories to the show. That's going to be very helpful and inspiring for all of our viewers. Later in the show, you'll be hearing from Sherry Morrison, our lifestyle watch contributor. And this week, Sherry is going to be with Danielle Ruttenberg. And Danielle is the co-founder of Remark Glass and Bottle Underground. I went to Danielle's website and she does beautiful, beautiful glasswork. So I'm very excited for her segment. And as always, if you're interested in learning more about the show, visit our website at womentowatch.net. That's women, the number 2, watch.net, N-E-T. So now I'm very excited and thrilled to welcome to the show, Tracey Sameyah. Tracey, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Sue. I'm excited to be here.
It's very nice to have you. It's been a while since I saw you. We had a beautiful, wonderful introductory call a couple of months ago. And as I said, I'm just so thrilled that you're going to be a part of the show ongoing. I think you have a lot of really insightful stories and advice to bring to the show. So we're going to start with your upbringing, as always, and have you share with the viewers and listeners a little bit about your background. So talk a little bit about the community where you were born.
Sure, absolutely. So I'm half British, half Iranian. I was actually born in London, but then when I was around 2, my family moved to Iran. So the good part of my early childhood was in Iran, which has a beautiful culture, a very warm, family-oriented culture. And I was raised in Iran till I was about 11. We left Iran very, very abruptly, pretty much overnight, extracted from a beautiful country, wonderful culture, family all around, and transported to London, which is my mother's country of birth, but I had nobody there. I knew nobody there. Had to get immersed overnight into a new lifestyle, school, and really build up all of my childhood all over again. I lived there till I was about 24, where I chose to move to Los Angeles as I was getting married. And I've had the rest of my life living in Los Angeles since then. So
that is a very unique story and beginning to your life, and something that I think many people would not really be able to understand all of the things that you had to adapt to. So when you think about that time, maybe we'll just talk about coming to America and having to adapt to a new culture and a new language and all of that. What do you tell me what you were most afraid of at that?
Well, actually, leaving Iran, I went back to the UK. That was at the age of 11 when, I moved back to the UK. I spoke English because my mom's British, but it was just the immersion of a total cultural shock, going to the school playground and not knowing anybody and trying to figure out, how do I make new friends? How do I settle in? What are the rules of the game here? Just everything was so different. And I think it was the first sense of survival and adaptability that I had to go through. And it was either be new, be different, come from a different culture, listen to different music, eat different foods, and be isolated, or how do I assimilate and immerse myself and move forward? Because it doesn't stand still. You have to move with what's happening in your life at the time. I tend to not look at it in terms of it was hardship. I tend to look at it as it gave me a great opportunity to learn about a new system of life, not to leave my previous one behind, but to adapt to a new system of life and take really the best of both cultures all the different countries that I've lived in, and make me who I am today and the whole person that I am today.
Do you, my guess is you do quite a bit of traveling, and do you go back often to either UK or Iran?
UK, yes. Iran, I haven't been back to since I left at the age of 10, 11.
Wow. You know, I shared with you when I posted that you were coming on the show, I got such an influx of questions from viewers and listeners, and they practically wrote the show for me. I thought, with all these great questions, I didn't even have to draft new ones. And the very first one I got was from your son. Your son, Tony, sent in a question, and I thought I would ask it at the top of the show. I thought, how sweet that is. He wants to know, what is your advice on compartmentalization?
He asks me that every day. He'll come.
Is it something he struggles with?
I think it's a challenge for a lot of young people, because they go through college and life is very linear. It's just one thing to think about, one thing to do, and they're young. The whole world revolves around them. And then they hit the real world. They start a relationship, they start a job, and it's all the uncertainties of the real world and a day in the life of working and so on, right? So he'll then say, I really don't know how you do this. I mean, it's, how do you go from one to the other, to the other, to the other? And I always say to him, compartmentalize. And I know it's easier said than done. I really know that. And I think it's one of those where practice makes perfect, that comes with it. But if I could, it's maybe share it in this way. You have to have, if you look at the whole pie of your life, and your life is in different segments. You have work, you have relationships, you have motherhood, you have friendships, you have family you have to take care of. All these different slices of the pie, and that's your entire life. And what you've got to be able to do is to be very aware and present in each slice of the pie, and not allow any slice of the pie to bleed over to the other side. So when you are leaving the house in the morning and you are going into work, you put your leadership hat on, you put your CEO hat on, you put on your work responsibilities, and you walk into that office as that persona, as that character, and you're in character in that persona the entire time that you're there. And yes, if your phone rings and God forbid it's family with an emergency, you change lanes. But other than that, that entire time that you're there, you're fully focused and fully immersed. In the same way, when you're coming back home and you've got a husband and children and friends and family and what other things that are going on in life, you come back in that persona. So I never walked back in the door as CEO. I walked back in the house as mum and wife, and what's relative to this group of people that I'm walking back in the home with. My kids don't care what my title is, or if I've had a good day or a bad day. They want to know, are you taking me to my activities? Can you help me with my project? I'm late with this. I have a play date. That's who needs to be there. So I think that compartmentalizing is truly about having these multiple personas, and each one has a life of its own, and living in that particular segment 100% and very aware with a very intentional mindset. And again, it's a matter of life wisdom. It's a matter of, practice makes perfect. But that to me has been the key to balancing what I want in life. And I'm a fan of saying, you can have it all. You can be the working mom. You can have it all, but you don't have to do it all. And having wonderful support structures, both personally and professionally, and compartmentalizing and being aware is really the key to managing all the moving parts.
I think that's such great advice. And I think it really is about being present in whatever we're doing. Here's the difficult part in today's world is the ability for all of the people out there to have access to us
Yes.
all day long, right? So how
Correct.
do you, in other words, you go home and you just want to be mom and your phone is bing, bing, binging. Maybe you turn it off. I'm not sure, but how do you manage that uh, I really see it as a lack of privacy.
It's a great question. So these worlds have to live alongside each other in synergy and in harmony. And so if I want my phone to not ring consistently, then I have to, in my work mind, create a team, hire very competent people. And unless it's an absolute emergency, it's okay. And you've got to give yourself permission to say, I can hear those emails coming in. I've sort of just glanced over them, and it's okay. They can wait till tomorrow morning. And I think that permission giving is also very, very important, that you're not a bad mom or a bad executive if you put things in their right home and go to them when timing permits.
And you know what, I think we gain the confidence to do that more as we get older.
Yes.
Right. We tend to worry about, what other people are doing and saying and thinking. And as we get older, we realize it doesn't matter. Yeah.
I actually always say motherhood saved me, because I could see myself, had I not become a wife and a mother, I would be probably one of those executives that would just get onto a burnout mode.
Yes, absolutely. So, you know what, we should backtrack. Before I get into the questions from our listeners, I would love for you to tell the viewers, how did you end up in this field? How did you end up in the field of beauty and skincare and wellness? We should go back to the beginning.
So my key motivation to working actually was financial independence. I have a wonderful aunt who actually recently passed away. And from a very young age, I would always hear her little whispers in my ear that it's wonderful to marry for love and all the rest of that. But as a woman, you have to know that if you need to provide, you can. And financial independence and the ability to provide finance and the financial support for your family is important. So the reason I actually got into working was because of that drive to have a financial independence. Otherwise, I think my dad was perfectly happy taking care of me for the rest of my life until I got married. So why the beauty industry? I think I actually fell into it very, very accidentally. I had found a company and thought, I'll just take a break from school and take some beauty courses so I can learn a little bit more about grooming and looking great and cosmetics and hair. And they had a wonderful sort of apprenticeship type program. And I remember from the first day that I crossed that threshold into the world of beauty and hair, really from a standpoint of personal development and knowledge, I loved the industry. I fell in love with this industry and I've never looked back. It felt like home. I loved coming into work every day. I loved the idea that we make people look and feel better. It's very, very gratifying. And from there, really, I was very lucky to work for some companies that afforded me the opportunity to learn the job on the job and create career paths. And so here we are today.
Yeah, and you just consistently moved up the ladder throughout your career. And I was curious, was that intentional? Or do you think you were just doing the work well, being recognized, and these opportunities came to you?
I think it's a few moving parts. I think I landed in, my longest stretch was at a company called Murad. And I was very lucky to start with that company in the very early days. I was there for about 22 years as a whole. So that was the longest stretch of my career. I would say that was a good opportunity because when you get on board with a company or a brand that's about to take off, you tend to ride that wave with them. Right. Second, I would say I'm highly competitive and most important with myself. I'm a little bit unsettled. I get bored. And so the idea of, okay, well, I've done this for a while. What's next? What am I going to do next? I think I like that position. How am I going to work my way up to that position? So that intersection of an entrepreneurial company that was fast tracking and then sort of my restless DNA for more, for growth, for competitiveness, that intersection was probably where my sweet spot was.
I think that's such a great example of, it's good to always be looking for that next thing and wanting to be better and wanting to learn and wanting to grow. When you lose that curiosity, I think often, especially women, can get stuck. And
I
again,
think
especially if they're mothers, right? If they're doing
yes.
that whole other part in their life.
Yeah, I think it's very easy for us as women to think of careers, ambition, competitiveness as selfish, because we're sort of society, certain cultures teach us that we're here to be givers and it's all about everybody else but us. And I think, again, it's very much okay to have a slice of your whole pie be about, what do I want to do? What do I want to achieve? And as long as I'm keeping a balance and a synergy between all the moving parts, I am going to be ambitious. If I'm showing up here 12 hours a day, I don't want to be doing the same thing 2 to 3 years down the road. And I also, along the way, really found that I can be a very good individual superstar player. So I can deliver the sales results. I can bring in the numbers and all the rest of it. But somewhere along the line, I found the gratification in leadership and in wanting to have my own team, and how do I get my team across the finish line. And I think that that also evolved into opening up a career path beyond, if that makes sense.
Tracey, do you allow yourself to have fun at work?
I do. I do have fun. I play jokes. I don't mind if jokes are played on me. We go to team lunches. We break out early. I have a laugh. I have a laugh at my failures, because I think that it's very easy, especially as women, for us to look and say, well, if I'm not going to be successful and I'm afraid of failing, then I don't want to play. I'm ashamed of that. And I think it's important to have fun, to laugh, to fail, to get back up, and to just enjoy your day and all pieces of the day, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
One of the questions from our listeners was about, and that word failure, it has such a negative connotation. It really is about, it's an experience where something didn't work and you eliminate that and you try something else, right?
Yeah.
But, failure is the word we use. And is there one in particular? Can you talk about something that just went awry and you were able to learn from and move forward?
Do I have one in particular? Well, I mean, I don't know if it's so much of a failure, but, when COVID hit and overnight our world's changed, right? And you have a brand that you're selling at retail in brick and mortar, and not to your own doing. All of a sudden, all brick and mortar is shut down. People are on a lockdown, and you're sort of trying to figure out, wait, I have sales numbers to make. I have people's livelihoods in my hands. We don't want to cut back the team. So I don't know if it's so much a failure, but one of the biggest challenges that I've had to manage through recently was that. And how do you pivot and turn very nimbly and turn around to the team and say, we're going to be safe. Trust me, we're going to do this. And actually, it was the biggest year we've had on record. We doubled our sales.
Wow.
And so I don't know if it's so much that, how could I navigate my best failure? But that was definitely one of the biggest challenges that I've had to manage recently.
We're going to go into our first break. And when we come back, I'm going to dig into some of these questions from our listeners. Stay with us. If you're listening on 1210, you'll hear from our watch team members. We'll be right back with Tracey Sameyah, CEO of Lancer Skincare.
Action News, celebrating 50 years with AccuWeather.
The heat is on. In 2010, Philadelphia had a record of 55 days at or over 90 degrees. And those scorchers, they're on the rise. In fact, 10 of the 15 hottest summers occurred in the last 2 decades. Thank you for always trusting us to keep you informed.
You're streaming and we're streaming. Get the AccuWeather forecast and severe storm alerts 24/7 on our 6ABC streaming app.
Whether you're just getting started, already well on your way, planning for your future, drafting your vision, growing toward greatness, or finding that dreams really can come true. Whatever your next steps are, we'll be right here with you, just like we have been for 150 years. Start here, grow here, stay here. Penn Community Bank. Here we grow.
Go for the midnight dares. Go for the memories. Go for the view that goes on forever. Go for the bubbles in your bathtub and in your drink. Go to bed whenever you want. or don't. Go for him. Go for her. Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com.
The following is a real testimonial from the father of a young injured victim.
I didn't think she was going to make it.
Major Perry's daughter was the victim of a horrific accident caused by someone else's negligence.
If you don't find the right counselor, law firm that you're looking for, you will get lost in the wilderness.
Badly injured? Call the Fritz and Bianculli Law Firm at 215-458-2222 and find out why they say, "We got this."
Do you stream on a Roku, a Fire Stick, Android TV, or Apple TV? Now you can watch 6ABC 24/7 with the 6ABC Philadelphia streaming app. Watch Action News
The
live,
big story on Action News tonight.
plus special programming, breaking news, and severe weather updates.
Tremendous amounts of rain.
Always on, always the news team you trust. Watch 6ABC 24/7 on your streaming device. Search 6ABC Philadelphia and start streaming today.
Hello and welcome back to the show. I'm joined this week by Tracey Sameyah, and Tracey is the CEO of Lancer Skincare. I want to dig right into some of these questions from our listeners. They're very good. And one of my favorites is always to have my guests look back to the little girl that you were one day. And someone asked, what advice would you give your younger self? When I hear that question, I think of, kind of personally, what is something you struggled with that today you now know was not as meaningful or serious as you thought?
One would be the fear of failure, because we all want to be perfect. We all want to be liked. And that would be one is embracing failure as just part of life. It was just something that happened. You learn from it. It was either in your control or it wasn't, and you keep moving. The other would be to really have the ability to stay resilient, and persistence is key. It's so easy to say, it didn't go well, I'm going to walk away. It's tough, I'm going to walk away. It's people aren't allowing me, I'm going to walk away. It's very easy to get into that box, and it's everybody else's fault. And I think that just realizing you have to own it. And if you want it bad enough, you have to stay focused and own it and keep striving and, get thick-skinned, stay in the game and keep moving forward. That's really it. And to know that it won't be easy. There will be detours and there will be obstacles. Not everybody's always happy for your success. And that's tough because it's personally, it becomes personal, and not everybody is going to cheer you on and be happy. And you just have to continue to do it for yourself and because it's what you want to do.
Are there any historical figures who have inspired you?
Historical figures, it moves through different decades of my life. I would probably say, I don't necessarily think it's historical figures per se. For me, it happens to be people in my life. From my aunt that I always talk about, it really is that sense of grit and persistence. She grew up in a time where, in Iran, where women, didn't have the right to necessarily even get a divorce. You had to be given permission to get a divorce. And so to just look through her life and see what she was able to achieve just by determination. I look at my mom, and she's taught me a lot of balance and spirituality, and to accept when things are happening. It's just whatever's meant to be in the universe, and to go with the flow as opposed to resist a lot of things in life. And then you become hard and very bitter. Whereas if you embrace where things are going and really have a sense of trust and go with it, you're much more empowered. So I would say those two are the two that are guiding lights in some way for me.
What steps have you taken to help uplift the next generation of women leaders?
So in terms of an organization, for example, one area that was always very close to my heart was women coming back off maternity leave. It's a very difficult transition. You know, you carry this baby for 9 months, then you have the baby, you're holding all your maternal instincts and energy and emotions are on high alert and heightened. And then after 6 weeks, 8 weeks, whatever that timeline is that you need to go back to work, all of a sudden you've got to detach from all this and leave your most prized possession, you know, and go away for 8 to 10 hours a day based on an 8-hour working day and some commuting time, right? And so that was always very, very hard for me in that transition. And it was very close to my heart. So working on an environment of a culture of a company whereby women coming back off maternity leave were given a staggered timeline to come back into work, and a lot of fluidity and flexibility, shorter hours, a couple of hours, days a week, until they eventually, over a period of 3 months, come back into a full-time status. So that was very, very important to me. The other is, at any one point, I generally have about 6 to 10 direct reports. And in having direct reports, I don't look at leadership as just someone who's providing a job. I think that leadership is a privilege, and you're taking responsibility for somebody else's livelihood. And rather than thinking of providing them with a job, you're really helping them. You have the opportunity to help them create a career path. So that one-on-one mentoring that I have the opportunity to give is really where I invest a lot of time to develop and groom and develop people for their career paths. And I think that's been really, really rewarding to look at people that I've managed who now are SVPs, CEOs, and so on. It really is very gratifying. And it's like the gift that keeps giving, because as you see them grow, you're more gratified with the work that you've done through your life's work. And, you know, just that one-on-one mentoring is really where I try and invest the most of my time.
Tracey, can you tell me what questions you ask your employees when you're trying to learn more about them? So when you're trying to guide them and find out what is it that they're you know, really good, what questions do you ask?
So I think the key to motivating or really seeing how I can be of purpose to their life is to ask why are they working? What is their motivating factor? What is their end goal? And it's not always financial. It could be a sense of gratification. It could be that they just want to be out of the house for a few hours a day and balance children at home. Some are more title motivated. Some are purely financial motivated. So I tend to ask them, what is the purpose of you being in this work environment? What are you looking to get out of it? How can I be of help to you? And, you know, when you ask and you really hear what that particular individual is about, is it that they're trying to prove the history and heritage of their culture? Is it what is motivating them? What's making them get that fire in the belly every day? Then to me, as a leader, you find that intersection along with where the goals of the company are. And if you can align those two together, you really never have to work hard at managing people anymore, because they see the road ahead themselves, and it's directly connected to their personal part of life.
I think the question of why is always the best question. Yeah. Right? If we understand why we're doing anything. And also in asking that, sometimes we find out we're not where we're meant to be.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Is there one key to success for someone who wants to rise up in the company? So if there's a woman who's within a company and she really wants to be in that C-suite, is there one key to getting there?
Get involved and play. I think I equate a lot of things to playing sports. If you don't get on the court and start playing, you're not going to get the opportunity to take the shot and then be the MVP. So I think just getting comfortable with being uncomfortable, you know, putting yourself in the situation, be okay with risk, be okay with failure, be okay with being disliked. Just get on with it. And I think that as women, very early on, I read a great book. It's How to Play Like a Man but Win Like a Woman. And when you take a look at how men look at the work environment, they almost have this sense of entitlement that I'm I'm meant to be here. This is my domain. I will have a say, whereas we tend to want to make everybody feel good, don't hurt anybody's feelings. Everybody gets to take part in this game, and it's okay to be competitive, and it's okay to be unliked and make things uncomfortable. And I think that would be the main thing that I would say to someone young, up and coming, a young up and coming leader, a female leader, is just get involved. And you're going to get some scratches, and you're going to get some bruises, and you just keep fighting and moving forward. Don't ask for permission, and don't wait for an invitation.
We talk a lot on the show about the differences between men and women, and why it matters that we have women in positions of leadership. And I sometimes think it's hard for women to understand they don't have to give up their natural instincts to care about the collective group.
Yes.
Those qualities of empathy and, again, just those, they sometimes they're described as soft skills, but they're really not. The ability to connect with people and understand what's happening kind of in a whole room rather than just in what's in front of us. So how do we embrace those qualities? Because I don't think it's right to push them away and not be who we are, but at the same time be competing, playing, as you say, with the men who perhaps don't see these qualities as valid.
I think some of it is more women get into leadership positions, we change the landscape. So some of that's just going to happen through generations and generations of more women in position of leadership that will change the playground and the rules of the playground, right? But I remember very early on, I took a workshop in terms of learning to be a better negotiator. And I show up to this workshop, and it wasn't it was nothing I thought it was going to be. It was 6 people, and I already felt uncomfortable because there's only 6 of us, so he can watch everybody really clearly. In a team of 30, you can sort of hide around the areas you don't want to get involved in, right? So there's 6 of us and 4 guys, 2 women. I'm like, oh, here we go. And then out of the 6, it was myself and a colleague from the skincare industry, and she shut down on day 1. It was not where she wanted to be. She was just going to ride it out. 2 guys from high pharma, high performance pharmaceutical companies, and 2 guys from a company that dealt with executive security in the Middle East. So, and there I am coming in from, we sell lotions and potions and skincare, and we like people to look beautiful, and I thought, oh my God, who booked me on this course, and I was so uncomfortable. And initially I could have thought like, oh my God, the guys from pharma can flip, Excel spreadsheets around like pancakes in their sleeves, and it's just big ruffling numbers. And these guys are sort of carrying God knows what kind of guns and whatever else is going on. And I've got my lip gloss. So anyway, I looked at it and I thought to myself, you know what? I'm just going to use my strengths. They want to be big, bad bullies, and they think that if they speak louder, we're all going to go away. And I'm not. I'm going to slow this down. I'm going to speak like a woman. I'm going to use my soft skills. And in the end of the course, I ended up winning top negotiator because I decided I wasn't going to get intimidated. I definitely felt it. Believe me, I felt it, but I chose to put that compartment away and to pull from within the areas that I felt I had strengths in that they didn't have. They didn't have the stamina. They could bark a little bit early on, but they didn't have the long-term game stamina, and at that point, you also just find whatever works for you. And throughout my career, I've always been told, you could say whatever you say that comes out of your mouth. You could even swear at someone. But that accent, all we want to say is, oh, wow, thank you. So, at a time like that, I was like, my accent is getting amplified. I am a woman. We are going to do this my way, in a very soft and loving and kumbaya way. And, it works.
Whether you like it or not.
We are going to do this. Yes. So that would be, an example of, you run with what you have. Don't worry about what you don't have.
Yes. I love that advice so much because it's all about being who you are, right? Pretending to be anyone other than who you are is never authentic. And I don't think it ever lands, the way you would want it to. So, and
People
again,
can see through it.
They can. Let's see. What are your unique skills that supported your rise to CEO? So your skills, I know what some of these are, but would you say you're a good listener? What are the top three, we'll say, that come to mind for you?
Yeah, I think in terms of skills, it would be, I'm a good connector and a good communicator. I'm very early on, I heard a wonderful quote from Bruce Lee. And he said that, if you pour water in a square bowl, it takes the shape of a square bowl. So the idea of being fluid and whatever you're poured into, adapting to that type of situation, I think that's a key asset that I have. I jump in and I quickly assess and I adapt. A great listener, great connector, communicator. I think I can create a very strong rallying cry for a community of people. So I found that my niche was in small to mid-sized brands, companies that are founder-led. And what I take very well is a visionary's idea and then create it and bring it to life. And in that, you're going to have a team. You can't play every single segment yourself. So creating a rallying cry and aligning people behind a common goal is definitely some of the skill sets that I think have been critical for me. Okay.
Just like we're adapting here today, we're having a couple of technical difficulties, but we just keep going with the flow. I want to ask you, Tracey, as a mother, you're a mother.
Yes.
And I would say for sure, we're living in a time where there's things to worry about. More so, I would say, than when we grew up. And our ability to know and see what's happening globally every day, all day long, can be a heavy burden. Tell me, what do you worry most about as a mother for your children in today's world?
I think in general, my biggest concern that I think about is their emotional well-being. Because I think society teaches them to go to the gym, work out, look good, and all the rest of that. But I think we forget to talk about the mindset, the resilience of the mindset, the ability to handle stress, because life is going to have many curveballs. And as parents, we're not always going to be around to help them and support them. So that emotional well-being for them to be able to survive and thrive under pressure is what I always think about. And in every conversation, in every dinner that we have, it's how can I, as you said, a lot of this comes with wisdom and experience of life, right? How can I part that onto them so that when I'm not around and the world goes astray or there's a financial crisis or they don't get the job that they wanted, they have the emotional resilience to keep standing and not crumble and get back up again. So their emotional well-being is really, really top of mind for me.
Well, the fact that you recognize that, my guess is your conversations with them, they are emotionally, resilient and strong. And you're right. It's all about that. We can't control what happens around us, but our perspective is really very critical. So, we have to go into our next break and get ready for Sherry. I'm so excited to be able to have you back again so I can get through all of the other questions I didn't get through. Thanks so much, Tracey. I'll let you get back to work and we'll be seeing you again in a couple of weeks.
Thank you so much for your time, Susan.
Stay with us. And when we come back, you'll hear from Sherry Morrison. And she's going to be with Danielle Ruttenberg, the co-founder of Remark Glass and Bottle Underground. We'll be right back.
Action News, celebrating 50 years with AccuWeather.
The heat is on. In 2010, Philadelphia had a record of 55 days at or over 90 degrees. And those scorchers, they're on the rise. In fact, 10 of the 15 hottest summers occurred in the last 2 decades. Thank you for always trusting us to keep you informed.
You're streaming and we're streaming. Get the AccuWeather forecast and severe storm alerts 24/7 on our 6ABC streaming app.
Whether you're just getting started, already well on your way, planning for your future, drafting your vision, growing toward greatness, or finding that dreams really can come true. Whatever your next steps are, we'll be right here with you, just like we have been for 150 years. Start here, grow here, stay here. Penn Community Bank. Here we grow.
Go for the midnight dares. Go for the memories. Go for the view that goes on forever. Go for the bubbles in your bathtub and in your drink. Go to bed whenever you want. Or don't. Go for him. Go for her. Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com.
The following is a real testimonial from the father of a young injured victim.
I didn't think she was going to make it.
Major Perry's daughter was the victim of a horrific accident caused by someone else's negligence.
If you don't find the right counselor, law firm that you're looking for, you will get lost in the wilderness.
Badly injured? Call the Fritz and Bianculli Law Firm at 215-458-2222 and find out why they say, "We got this."
Do you stream on a Roku, a Fire Stick, Android TV, or Apple TV? Now you can watch 6ABC 24/7 with the 6ABC Philadelphia streaming app. Watch Action News
The
live,
big story on Action News tonight.
plus special programming, breaking news, and severe weather updates.
Tremendous amounts of rain.
Always on, always the news team you trust. Watch 6ABC 24/7 on your streaming device. Search 6ABC Philadelphia and start streaming today.
Hello, welcome to the lifestyle segment of Women to Watch. I'm Sherry Morrison. I'm thrilled to introduce you to Danielle Ruttenberg, co-founder of Remark Glass and Bottle Underground. Welcome to the show, Danielle.
Thanks so much for having me, Sherry. It's great to be here.
My pleasure. Danielle and her business partner, Rebecca Davies, opened Remark Glass in 2016, and Bottle Underground followed in 2020. Danielle, please tell us about your education, meeting Rebecca, and how Remark Glass was born.
Absolutely. So I am a graduate of the Tyler School of Art, which is Temple University's art school right here in Philadelphia. And it was there that I actually met Mark Ellis, who is present day married to Rebecca Davies. And as a team, years after we graduated, we kind of reconnected and started experimenting with bottle glass to see what was possible.
Well, that's very cool. I didn't realize Tyler School of Art had a glass blowing department. I've watched glass being blown, and it's a mesmerizing experience. A lot of teamwork and a lot of critical timing. It's very much like running a business, don't you think?
Absolutely. I always refer to it as a team sport. You know, it is something that you really need to have partners in that can read your every move and be there when you need them.
Yeah, before it falls to the ground.
Yes, absolutely.
So please tell us a little bit about the beginning of Remark Glass. What type of projects and things you started making, and what was your mission then?
So glasses, and recycled glass especially, is an incredibly challenging material. And so we were looking at it as a design challenge to see what the potential was of the material and how we could kind of creatively transform it. So heating one bottle at a time, we prototyped some really beautiful functional wares that have evolved into our full scale line that you can find on our website and in our store at the Bach Building in South Philadelphia. What's neat about what we do is that, you know, it's already a bottle, it's already got air inside of it. It's volume. So what we do is reheat up to over 2,000 degrees and transform the material. So we're stretching it, we're pulling it, we're making a new shape out of an existing shape.
That's very cool. The Bach Building is really an interesting building. I was there years ago when it first reopened. It was an old school. And I think you have a lot of artists there now. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's grown into an amazing space. Over 175 artisans and small businesses here. It's
just booming with energy, and we love being here and kind of just being a part of this thriving arts community.
I bet. So you've been taking on a lot of glass through recycling programs in Philadelphia. That's pretty aggressive. You have more than you could handle, I'm sure. Once you saw the greater need of recycling, that's how you came up with Bottle Underground. Is that how that all came about?
Yes. So in 2020 is when we formed Bottle Underground, but previous to that, we always had a community engagement aspect to what we were doing. We were collecting bottles from family members, friends, and that started to expand into businesses and other people who just heard about us through the grapevine. During the initial shutdown in Philadelphia, the recycling system became a little bit more transparently broken, and we were seeing that glass inherently ends up in landfill more often than we'd like to admit. And we thought we could really solve this by taking on more in a formal way. And so Bottle Underground really looks at glass as an asset, and how can we adventure through different avenues to keep it out of landfill, but also create more value out of it. So we're upcycling, obviously, through Remark Glass, but there's other channels where we will fully recirculate the glass, like a mason jar, just gets washed and brought back into the community. And then we're also doing some projects around downcycling, which is turning glass into aggregate or sand, and then maybe replanting it back into a soil blend. It's something that's actually functional in an infrastructure sort of way.
Yeah, you had mentioned you have a hierarchy for the bottle types that come out of the landfill and are collected. So you actually you recycle those in different manners. So like another business could be using the mason jars or some of the other small containers. You said a candle making company, so you can clean them and sell it back to them. The aggregate, you said, goes to some of the different builders, and you had mentioned a company that uses them and mixes it in with the sand.
Yeah, so we're doing a partnership with Olin Architects and Bennett Compost right now, which is looking at as a green stormwater infrastructure project where we're making a soil blend, which is really without soil, and that will be used as a pilot for a green infrastructure project in Fairmount Park. And we hope to actually commercialize that next year.
Very cool. So I've only been in studios to see artists blowing glass from scratch and using the blow pipe or freehand or wooden block or mold. You make some beautiful pieces, and now they're available through Better Homes and Gardens. That's really exciting. Tell us about the items available and the different techniques you use to create them.
Yeah, so we were recently featured in Better Homes and Gardens. It was amazing. It's a beautiful spread. So if you're a subscriber, definitely check it out. And all of those items that are in the 100th anniversary edition are available on our website, which is remarkglass.com. And again, also in our store here.
Mm-hmm. Cool. So you make keepsakes, lighting, glassware, pictures, and you do some custom work. We were talking about all of the old wine and champagne bottles I have on my shelves that are the best dust collectors in the whole wide world, and I have absolutely no purpose for them. But you have repurposed them or find ways to repurpose them, make them into containers, and use the labels or whatever that's on them to make them memorable. Great wedding gifts, or to use as a bowl or serving piece. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so we designed this project that really bridges sentimentality and sustainability. We are really excited to be able to have the glass that we're using tell a story, because it really is about that. We're just transforming something that already existed and had a purpose, and we're redesigning that purpose. So with our keepsake projects, the best example is the champagne bottle from your wedding. We'll take a special bottle from a really special occasion. We capture it with a photo, but then we'll transform it into something that is going to be used at the center of someone's table for years to come. And that might look like a vase or a serving bowl. And we always do a special engraving to commemorate the date. We've done projects with full barware from a vineyard wedding up to, special lights for a chandelier that came from an anniversary champagne bottle. And it's just every project we get to do tells a different story, and we get to learn those stories and become closer with our customers.
So much fun. I just love the creativity. How much glass do you think you've diverted from landfill in the last 6 years?
I don't have a clear number on 6 years, but when we started Bottle Underground, our data became much more concise, and we have diverted just over 102,000 pounds since 2020. So yeah, over 50 tons. The city goes through a lot, and this is just a drop in the bucket, but we're seeing an increase from where we were collecting about 200 pounds a month back in early 2020 to over 10,000 pounds a month right now, which is, insane. And this is without a lot of marketing. Like, people are really looking for an alternative with their recycling to ensure that it is going to a good place and is becoming, what we really intend for the true meaning of recycling.
Can you imagine if all of us did a little bit of that? We wouldn't have any glass problems on the planet. So you've gone from artist to entrepreneur to environmentalist. What have you learned? What do you see in the future? Do you have a new message now? Have you morphed into something a little bit different?
I mean, we're ever changing people. But yes, as an entrepreneur, I started in a really creative space with this project with Remark Glass, and the need to really make a larger impact became more and more apparent. And I think that is our true mission now. I think that we can look at our source materials across manufacturing and a creative space in a different way, that we might be able to find alternative solutions for all sorts of making, because glass is not trash. Neither is wood, neither are building materials. If we treat them right and we discard them we break them down in a better way and we collect and sort in a better way, we have usable material again and again. So that's what we're looking to do.
Awesome. It's not just about glass. Remark chooses best practices that reflect minimal waste. It's a model that benefits the local economy. So they're reusing discarded cardboard, packaging materials from companies all over, and they participate in fair chance hiring. We could do a show on each one of these elements of recycling and sustainability very easily. We're just really fortunate that companies like Remark and Bottle Underground have the networks, and the small businesses are really making a difference. And they're so well supported by many different sources. I noticed you were involved with Goldman Sachs, 10,000 small businesses. That is a group that really helps small businesses become more sustainable and streamline what they do. You've received some accolades. The Love Tito's recently announced that you were 1 in 10 recipients of $25,000. Wow. They support businesses with grit. You've got grit. You've got sand and glass.
Yes, sure do.
And SheO, now referred to as Corrales, is a Canadian organization that was founded and formed sort of an incubator type community supporting women and non-binary people working on the world's to-do list. What a great list to be on. So you were one of 5 businesses in the United States selected as a venture in 2022 by the Corrales Group. So you have access to experts, investors, giving ongoing time and expertise to help you build a holistic approach to your business. It's awesome. I'm sorry, Danielle, we are out of time, and I'm trying to get through as much as I possibly can. Thank you so much for all of your information and education today. I know that I will be back with another segment where we can talk about this more, but I really appreciate your time.
Thanks so much. I hope you'll come visit us soon, okay? I
absolutely will. For more information about Remark Glass and their beautiful pieces available for purchase, go to www.remarkglass.com. For information about how to become involved with or donate to recycling glass or bigger projects on the horizon, go to www.bottleunderground.com. Please join me next week when I meet with Helen Hammis, president of Village Improvement Association of Doylestown, which founded Doylestown Health in 1923. So they're getting ready to celebrate their 100-year anniversary. And they're also getting ready to open up their largest fundraising effort, which is the Designer House in Doylestown. So please stay with us. Sue will be back to close out the show, and keep living your dreams, ladies.
Action News, celebrating 50 years with AccuWeather.
The heat is on. In 2010, Philadelphia had a record of 55 days at or over 90 degrees. And those scorchers, they're on the rise. In fact, 10 of the 15 hottest summers occurred in the last 2 decades. Thank you for always trusting us to keep you informed.
You're streaming and we're streaming. Get the AccuWeather forecast and severe storm alerts 24/7 on our 6ABC streaming app.
Whether you're just getting started, already well on your way, planning for your future, drafting your vision, growing toward greatness, or finding that dreams really can come true. Whatever your next steps are, we'll be right here with you, just like we have been for 150 years. Start here, grow here, stay here. Penn Community Bank. Here we grow.
Go for the midnight dares. Go for the memories. Go for the view that goes on forever. Go for the bubbles in your bathtub and in your drink. Go to bed whenever you want. Or don't. Go for him. Go for her. Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com.
The following is a real testimonial from the father of a young injured victim.
I didn't think she was going to make it.
Major Perry's daughter was the victim of a horrific accident caused by someone else's negligence.
If you don't find the right counselor, law firm that you're looking for, you will get lost in the wilderness.
Badly injured? Call the Fritz and Bianculli Law Firm at 215-458-2222 and find out why they say, "We got this."
Do you stream on a Roku, a Fire Stick, Android TV, or Apple TV? Now you can watch 6ABC 24/7 with the 6ABC Philadelphia streaming app. Watch Action News
The
live,
big story on Action News tonight.
plus special programming, breaking news, and severe weather updates.
Tremendous amounts of rain.
Always on, always the news team you trust. Watch 6ABC 24/7 on your streaming device. Search 6ABC Philadelphia and start streaming today.
Hi, welcome back. What a great show. Big thank you to Tone, our producer, for doing a great job each and every week, and also to all of our sponsors and Watch team members for their contributions to the show. Next week, I'm going to be joined by Dr. Anna Scott, and she is a scientist and an entrepreneur. It's going to be a great interview. Thanks, everyone, and have a great week.
Do you stream on a Roku, Fire Stick, Android TV, or Apple TV? Now you can watch 6ABC 24/7 with the 6ABC Philadelphia streaming app.
The big story on Action News.
Search 6ABC Philadelphia and start streaming today.